Hello, hello, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I hope that we are live. As you pop on, say hi to me, especially if you're coming in the replay. I know a lot of you will come in the replay later, but would love for you to say hi. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We started a couple minutes late this morning. Today's episode, we are going to be talking about updates to pandemic, COVID relief, the stimulus, all that stuff that has come out. I want to specifically address the American Rescue Plan Act, and then also some developments that have taken place just in the last few days even. I'm trying to keep you guys up to date so that you are in the know. For those of you I have not had the pleasure of meeting yet, my name is Christy Varner. I'm a business coach and profitability strategist here in the Dallas area, and I love to help small business owners and entrepreneurs understand the money side of their business so that they can take charge of their business. And I try to make it simple. I use simple words and analogies. And so that's what I'm here to do today. One of my superpowers seems to be reading through all this nutty paperwork that comes out about all this stuff and trying to make it simple. So that's what my hope is today, is to make that simple for you. So as you're coming on, just drop a hi and where you're tuning in from. I am, like I said, home here in Plano, which is just north of Dallas. So let's jump right to it because I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're busy running your business. So, and let me just say, if you're watching on YouTube, we love having you on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button. We are trying to get to 100 subscribers so that we can have a regular channel name instead of an alphanumeric name. And we would also invite you to join us in Small Business Finance Simplified. That's our private Facebook group for entrepreneurs and small business owners. I share accounting, finance, and operational tips, strategies, and training for small businesses, and other people share what they know and are good at, because we're all in this together. So anyway, thanks you guys for popping on. So let me just tell you, so the American Rescue Plan Act that just got passed has a lot of benefits in it. It was $1.9 trillion, but a lot of the benefits were more geared toward individuals. So there's not as much in there for small businesses, but the things that are in there are fairly significant and helpful for small businesses. So let me first start with the PPP, because this is something that has been coming up a lot. As many of you know, the PPP funding is set to expire on March 31st. So let me just say that today is March 18th, 2021. And why do I tell you the date? I tell you the date because in this world of the stimulus updates and all that, things constantly change. So this is the most up-to-date information as of March 18th. So I encourage you that as you're getting your information, get your information and make sure that it's current. I will link the websites for like the SBA.gov, like always check those websites. Those are the most up-to-date websites. I definitely try to keep up to date and give you guys the most up-to-date information, but just be really careful that whoever you're watching, there's lots of misinformation, period, but also information gets out of date. So even if you watched something I talked about in November, that's probably out of date. So the PPP is set to expire on March 31st. If you're not familiar with that, that's the Paycheck Protection Plan. And that is super, super helpful. There have been major changes for those of you who are Schedule C filers, such that you can now base your PPP loan on line 7, which is gross income, instead of line 31, which is net profit. If you're not familiar with that, please go back and watch another one of my videos where I explained all that. I think it was just 2 or 3 weeks ago. You can just, look in the search bar for that, or on the YouTube channel, you can see all of those. But that is a huge deal. So that was set to expire. Let me just say the House has now passed their side of the bill that the PPP will be extended for 2 additional months, which would put that at the end of May, and then also give the SBA 1 additional month to get through all the paperwork. So you guys, that is huge, great news, because several of the banks were already closing their applications. And I know that was really, really stressful for people. But that said, if you already know that you are eligible for the PPP, I would just encourage you to just go ahead and do that. The funding may run out at some point, even before that deadline. So they did just add $7 billion to these billion to the PPP funding as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. But so that's a change. So the extension of the funding is not yet official, but I really do expect it will go through, and probably this week. But as of today, March 18th, it has not yet gone through. So as of today, I'm telling you it will expire on March 31st. So get on the go. But either way, even if it's going to go through May, your paperwork should be good to go, and you can use 2019 or 2020 returns for that. You're going to want to use the one that is higher for your line 7 or line 31, because you use that number to divide by 12 and multiply by 2.5 as your maximum loan calculation. Or for those of you that have W-2 employees, you'll use your higher of your 2019 or 2020 941 payroll numbers. So I hope that helps for you. So for the PPP, that is the change that has happened. So another huge thing is the employee retention tax credit. And if you have W-2 employees, this is a huge credit. If you do not know about this, please go back and watch the video that I did on this. I did a very in-depth training, and in fact, even shared the spreadsheets that I prepared as a freebie for those within my Small Business Finance Simplified group and my email list. So this is a credit against taxes, but you can get a cash refund. It was up to $28,000 when I did that video just 2 or 3 weeks ago, $5,000 for 2020 and $14,000 for 2021. But the American Rescue Plan Act extended the 2021 benefit through the end of the year. So all 4 quarters, it's a maximum of $7,000 per employee per quarter that you're eligible for now. So that's a total of $28,000 for 2021 and $5,000 for 2020, for a total of $33,000 per employee that is going to be out there for the taking if you qualify for that. You guys, this is huge. This is between the Schedule C filing change and this ERTC. I have been shouting from the rooftops, telling everyone I know, because I know it's hard to run a small business, and I want you to get the maximum benefit that you can get. So if you have W-2 employees, go to victoryadvisory.com/ERTC, and that is my free gift to you to download a decision tree and a basic calculator for you to see if you qualify. If you do qualify, then you want to take the next steps to get that money. So that is a huge change from the American Rescue Plan Act, and somehow it kind of got it's just not getting that much attention, I guess, because there are a lot of individual things that came out of the American Rescue Plan Act. And so that's kind of getting more attention. But these are 2 huge things that can impact you as small businesses. So there are a couple of others. I'm just looking down at my paperwork because I don't want to forget anything. A couple other things. So the Sick Leave and Family Paid Act, this is a big thing for businesses. If you have employees, and even this applies for self-employed, this was the credit that the government is giving you to pay you back essentially for yourself, if you're self-employed, or employees that have been affected by the COVID. either you had to care for someone who had it or you had it yourself. Part of the American Rescue Plan Act is they have added 2 more qualifying conditions. One is getting the vaccine and one is getting testing. So if you are out for any of those periods, they will cover the payroll for that. So that is awesome. Awesome. They have increased the amount from $10,000 that they'll cover per employee up to $12,000. And the program was set to expire in March, and it's now going to run through the end of September of 2021. And one last change to that is that there's a reset button that goes into effect on April 1st. So any employee that took it before, that was affected before April 1st and then was affected after April 1st, you'd have a reset so that you would be able to qualify as an employer to capture that money for both time periods for that person. So that's a huge, huge change. And I hope no one has to use that. I hope that, you don't have employees or yourself impacted by COVID, but reality is a lot of businesses are. And so this is another benefit that came out from the American Rescue Plan Act. Another one that came out is Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which we call PUA. It also applies to self-employed and independent contractors, which usually unemployment doesn't. So this is what's been going on for a while. The change here is that has been extended for through September 6th, and it's going to be $300 a week. So that's a big thing that they have extended that. One other huge thing for those of you that have been filing for unemployment, the first $10,200 of unemployment income for 2020 will not be taxable. So up to a taxable income of $150,000. Beyond that, it would. But the first 10,200. So that's a really big thing that will impact your taxes. So if you've already filed your taxes, you might want to think through that. So also included are Restaurant Revitalization Fund. This is a grant through the SBA. I know we have some restaurant owners in our group, and it's not just restaurants, it's food trucks, it's all sorts of things in the restaurant industry. But you can get a grant now through the SBA based on your pandemic loss. This does not mean that you also can't get PPP. I know the National Restaurant Association is working on this, and so I don't think it's out and ready yet, but that has been announced as part of the American Rescue Plan Act, so that's awesome news. There is a new, the EIDL, the advances that we had last year, the up to $10,000 are gone. But there is a new targeted advance for companies that are in low income areas, have less than 300 employees, and have had a 30% decline over 8 weeks. The SBA is going to reach out to you. You need to do anything about that. That part is a grant, but the EIDL loans continue to be available to people. So should you need an extra boost, you could look at the EIDL loans. They're at 3.75% for businesses over, I think it's a 30-year payback. So that's another great thing. Okay, this is the one that's getting all the news. So you probably know about this, and that is the economic impact payments, which we just call stimulus checks in the news. So the third round is now out. It's $1,400 in addition to the $600 that came out just recently before that. So you can file for that as part of your taxes. Money is already being deposited in people's accounts. It is based on your 2019 or 2020 tax return. And in this case, it's based on your adjusted gross income. It phases out, it starts phasing out at $150,000 for a family, at $75,000 for an individual, and goodness, I forget for head of household, but you could look it up. And it starts phasing out. So that will get deposited into your account. If you have already filed your taxes, if you haven't already filed your taxes, I would hold off on that just to make sure that the IRS can kind of catch up with all of this stuff. And you can claim those amounts that they don't, if they send you the wrong amount, then you can claim those back amounts on your tax return. So that's what you could do on your 2020. If you didn't get the amounts you should have gotten already from the first 2 rounds, you could claim that on your tax return. If you don't get the full amount and you filed your 2020 tax return, you can still get the rest of the amount you're owed. But right now what they're saying is you will get that as part of your 2021 tax return, which of course you will file next year in 2022. So not ideal. That said, big news out yesterday for individual filers. The tax return deadline has changed from April 15th to May 17th of this year. That has nothing to do with an extension. You don't need to file an extension. They have just changed the deadline. So I would encourage you, unless there's some big reason to be in a hurry, you might want to just wait for a little bit and make sure that all the forms are updated and everything's good to go before you file. It's up to you, of course. I am a CPA, but I am not your CPA. I help my clients. I am a practicing CPA and business coach, but always check with your own tax advisor and virtual CFO and legal advisor for more information on this. So I did want to say that about the IRS extension. Let me just say, though, this does not affect, for those of you that make quarterly payments, quarterly estimated tax payments, your first payment is still due on 4/15. So that has not been changed. This is also a federal thing that has changed. It does not impact the states. Do I think the states will catch up? I certainly hope so. I think a lot of them will change their deadline to May 17th, but just always know that you can't assume that the government, that the states have done the exact same thing. So you need to check with your state to see, or talk with your tax advisor to see. But it was literally just announced yesterday from the IRS about this change in the deadline to May 17th. So that is really new news. But that's for individuals. Now, let me speak specifically to those of you in Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma. I am here in Texas. So we all went through what we refer to as Snowvid or Snowmageddon, crazy storms. And we received an extension through June 15th here for individuals and businesses, including that quarterly estimated tax payment. So that part does not apply to you if you are in Louisiana, Texas, or Oklahoma. Our deadlines have been extended for all that already. But for the nation as a whole, the individual tax return has been changed to May 17th. You can still file an extension to October 15th if you need that. But remember, when you file an extension, that's an extension to file your return, not an extension to pay. So if you owe money, you would need to pay. So that's why I'm just saying, some people said, well, I'll just go ahead and file an extension now because I don't know about the deadline and if I'll be ready. You can always file early, right? But if you decide that you need to file an extension, even as of May 17th, you will need to make your estimated tax payment if you believe that you will owe, because the government, they don't play. Okay, let me look down real quick and see if I have any other big things. I talked about that, the extension, Louisiana, stimulus, 10,200. Okay, I think that I talked about most of the changes that have come out. I really thank you guys for tuning in. I would love for you to tag me in the comments if you have questions, and I would love to help you with those. I'm really excited. I do think, like I said, I know that a lot of what I talked about today pertains to us as individuals, but we are just individual people that run our companies, right? So these individual things do matter, and it also helps you understand where your employees are coming from, because they're individuals also. So you want to know and understand that. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. It really matters, and it makes a difference. I love to teach. I love to share. And so it's fun for me to be able to do this. So thank you again so much. And until next time.